But before we start the review, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment below and join the discussion. Also, don't forget to tune in for the Ukrainian Bloggers podcast, which happens every Monday and Thursday.
This is like a happy day and a sad day for hip-hop. You guys, this is the last album, and this is also going to be the beginning of your solo careers. How do you guys feel today?
Later. Thank God. Thank God. They have came back together and blessed us with a new album called May the Lord Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Phonte, rapper Big Pooh, little brother, y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it, brother.
What an intro.
Hello, Celly, welcome back to Sartistik TV. It's your boy DJ T-Cell, and today we are back for another review. And today we are reviewing the one and only Little Brother with a new album, May the Lord Watch. This release may come across as very arbitrary to a lot of hip-hop fans out there. Little Brother has been disbanded for like 9 years. Their last release was Left Back, which was released in 2010. So, and when they disbanded, no one really knew why, or no one really actually had any clue as to what possibly happened that may have caused them to break up. Of course, in that same year, the Justice League, this was in 2010, in that same year, the Justice League also disbanded. This was an extension, I believe. Can I say of Lil Brother? I don't know if I can say that, but it consisted of North Carolina rappers and producers who are not really doing anything right now, and it's arguable that only Phonte and rapper Big Pooh from those groups are the ones continuing on to make music. But with that being said, the link between Justice League disbanding as well as Lil Brother disbanding, the link is quite there, and it's quite telling that when that ended, Lil Brother ended. And also must be noted, this is not the same Justice League as the producers who produce for Rick Ross, for T.I. and a lot of great acts. Not that Justice League production crew. If you don't know much about Lil Brother, in 2002 they released their debut album, and it was called The Listening, and it was pretty much critically acclaimed. I think this was when they teamed up with the Justice League, and it also must be noted that rappers Phonte and Big Pooh, this is when they started to get their name. 3 years after that, they released their critically acclaimed album called The Minstrel Show. This album was great in my opinion. It was a great social commentary on what they viewed the game as turning into, if that makes sense. Like in the album, it was very substantial, and it showed and it made some really great commentary that the hip-hop game, or as from that era, which is 2000 to 2010, was basically now turning into a comedy show, into like the Minstrel Show, where a lot of black people jockeying and driving for their slave masters back then. That's what that's the issue with the Minstrel Show. Also blackface as well being perpetrated, and it had a lot of layers, and in that album alone, that it really raised a lot of eyebrows. A lot of people started working with Phonte and Big Pooh, notably Rhymefest. They done a slew of mixtapes after that. Not Rhymefest and Lil Brother, it's just they had other rappers, notable rappers started to appear on their projects. Rhymefest included, Smith and Wesson as well, Jean Grey also were appearing on their projects. They really started to make a name for themselves after the Minstrel Show. The album, I believe, charted number 58. I think it sold 66,000 copies in the US alone. If these figures could be wrong, I'm not really reading from anything, so if they're wrong, please don't shoot me, but from my memory, that's what I'm guessing. I shouldn't really be guessing with stats, to be honest. Let me verify that. I was wrong. It turned out to be 18,000 copies. Wow, significantly wrong I was. Man, do I miss the ball a lot. Continuing on, it really did, the album did cause a lot of controversy. In a recent interview, Phonte actually revealed that Bun B actually took offense to to the album itself. He felt that it was going at him personally because of the type of music that he was creating at the time.
I think I realized he was right when Bun B did an interview on All Hip Hop, and he was saying, yeah, he was just talking about hip hop in the game or whatever, and he was like, yeah, like this group, Little Brother, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I love them, but the Minstrel Show, I mean, are they talking about me? I like to rock chains. I mean, what does that mean? And I will never get reading that shit, and like just my heart just went in my stomach. So I was like, oh my God.
He saw it.
A, Reef saw it,
yeah.
And B, Bun B thinks I dissed him.
And I had to immediately hit Paul Wall. We were label mates at the time.
Yeah.
I said, Paul Wall, I need Bun B's number.
Aimed in on. Why did I give you this context? It's really important because I personally think that this is a stream it. Let me explain. This new this album draws a lot from the Minstrel Show in comparison to the other albums. In fact, I would say it's kind of the version 2 of the Minstrel Show. It might as well have been called the Minstrel Show Part 2 in my opinion. I think that would have had a lot more impact, but I'm not here to judge. In all fairness, there is a lot of callback to the Minstrel Show on this album. Now, the album started off amazingly well. The reason why I say it started off amazingly well is because on the first track, they went on to address a lot of why they disbanded, what they were feeling during that time, how they were trying to keep in contact, etc. To me, this was crucial because for a group to go away for that long and not address it, like I was mentioning with the Black Eyed Peas, how they went away on their 10-year hiatus, I believe, and then they dropped an album just out of nowhere. For them to do that, and then they didn't even in the album talk about anything. I mentioned that in the review. You can just click right there. And I did like the fact that they put everything on wax, especially with the lyrics that they used here. There was a lot of interesting lyrics out in this. Especially when it said "fill me in if I go too far," N-word, reel me in, just making it real again. This is possibly a callback to Lil Brother, but with a lot of growth. The reason why I say it's a callback to Lil Brother, but with a lot of growth, is because back then Phonte was really unfiltered. Not just Phonte, but rapper Big Pooh as well. But because Phonte is rapping on this one, I'm gonna say Phonte because he was very unfiltered, and pretty much now he's asking to be checked from just from that lyric alone. And it immediately took me to that interview where I did learn to that podcast, I should say, where I did learn that Bun B was really mad at him for what he had done for them. I wouldn't say mad at him, but he was concerned because he thought the lyrics were about him. So because of this, immediately this lyric brought me back to that, because now you see that he has realized that someone who he looks up to, who he considers as a great lyricist, is offended because of the content that he was rapping about, in which Phonte was critiquing at the time. And it must also be noted that he was significantly younger back then as well. This was in 2005, so this is at least 14 years ago, if my maths is correct. So for that album back then in 2005, probably recorded a lot earlier, to have it to come to a point that he's now realizing and looking back and be like, if I'm speaking out of turn, reel me in. So that was an interesting lyric for me, in that he brought out that could be explored. Another interesting lyric was "Tell me how to get back to feel again." Now, when he said "Tell me how to get back to feel again," it's basically showing that that in their haters, in their dismantlement, that they have pretty much lost the feeling to work together on music. This showed their vulnerability. This showed how much they had actually miss each other. How does one readjust after being away for so long? And he also released revealed in the interview podcast, I should say, that him and Big Pooh were never actually consider each other as friends, that they were just people that were making music together. And to the shock of the presenters as well as myself when I was hearing it, because for you to make 4 albums together, slew of mixtapes, you would think that they will have some kind of friendship, but they don't. So this line speaks a lot, and it also opens an insight to the possible tensions why they broke up. I will also provide a link to the podcast in the description below. It does actually show a lot on what happened back then. Segues beautifully to the next track, A Word from the President, and which was the president of the UBN network, which is U Black N-Word Network. The president Pierre Rosenberg announced that Percy Miracles had died. You know, now if you're not a Lil Brother fan, this is not gonna really impact you too much, because you don't know who Percy is. But Percy Miracles, it was a character that was created by Phonte, and he pretty much used him to kind of embody the promiscuous, yet in my opinion kind of promiscuous yet R&B type of persona that was happening a lot back then. I'm looking at your guys like Mario, I'm looking at guys like Chris Brown, who was coming up back then, and that was what Percy was. But to hip-hop rappers who was kind of using them a lot, I don't know how to really break down Percy, because he was such a complex character to break down, but he did have a lot of impact because of the subjects that he was singing on, such as cheating, such as promiscuity, and also the fact that he was and also the fact that he was also very charismatic. In fact, the album, because of him, was very lighthearted as a result, but it was also really layered with Percy Miracles in it. So in the interview, he also revealed that Percy was the reason why Lil Brother got back together. Well, that was in the story, because Lil Brother was announced to be performing at the guy's funeral, so it made sense. And story wise, this is really good, great writing. Which in the interview, Phonte and Big Pooh revealed that what brought them back together was the death of Five Dog, who died in 2016. Now this was the death that brought them back together again and start getting them recording.
The whole thing was with Percy. Yeah, it was a thing where, you know, we were just talking about how the whole idea was just that, you know, if we're looking at it, just the fictional characters we have in the LB universe and just in our lives, you know, if it's been 15 years since we've done this, and now we're coming back together. So what is it that generally brings people back together after a long time? Generally, it's a death. So in the fictional universe, well, in the real world, it was Fife's death that brought me and Pooh back together and got us talking again.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was Fife died, and at that time, you know, me and Pooh, we stopped talking around like 2011, I want to say.
I think we just had like a few business things.
A couple bit, yeah.
So we were just.
We got like a couple syncs or some shit.
It was strictly email.
Here's a check for $12,000, nigga.
Yeah. That's all it was.
Take his fucking ass check.
Take your check. Get the fuck out of my email, my inbox. And ciao.
So for them to kill this character off in the Lil Bro universe, it's kind of served two meanings to me, because now that they killed him off, who else are they gonna bring in now? Like, does that mean that the Minstrel Show is done? Because Percy was the face of the Minstrel Show. He pretty much brought a lot of the comedic kind of jockey and jiving factor to that title. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of put them in the writing corner. What can they do next? But apart from this, Life After Blackface was okay. I think that was another poignant track that could be highlighted. But apart from this, they had a couple of bops. I think Crisis done okay, but it must be said that Ninth Wonder was missed on the productions, and Ninth not being back on the project, they didn't really elaborate too much on it. I can take a couple of guesses because Jamla Records is now doing very, very well. Rhapsody was also working on her album, and there are also other artists that are part of Jamla that I'm pretty sure Ninth wants to really work on and focus on. So yeah, so that's perhaps that's the reason why. I really don't know, but it kind of does speak to a title, May the Lord Watch Over Them, because I do hope that it goes back to being a trio, not really a duo as it is at the moment, because it's only Crisis that's actually producing for them. And Crisis done, like I said, he's done a good job on this album. I personally don't have a track that I can pull out of and say, yeah, this is a standout track for me, because in my honest opinion, I do think that they flow well together. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the Minstrel Show didn't really have one track that I could say, yeah, this is set apart from the rest of the tracks. They were very cohesive. It was a very consistent project. I would say they had a very continuous kind of story. Like everything was a callback to the Minstrel Show, and everything had its place. So it wasn't that type of album in which you can take out a lot of tracks. For me, I personally gave it a 79 out of 100. I do think that Lil Brother, it's the reason why I gave it this rating is because I just like I said, the production I believe did hamper it a little bit, but at the same time I do feel like for them to keep holding on to the Minstrel Show without actually building on it, if that makes sense. This is not the Minstrel Show. It is called May the Lord Watch. I kind of wanted to know where they were going with that angle. Granted, in the end, they did kind of give an idea to what they meant by May the Lord Watch with Work Through Me, but then again, it's like it is not like, yes, they started off with the Minstrel Show, but what direction are they trying to go next? Like, that was very unclear to me. I didn't quite like I said, it was just like it was kept calling back and back and back to that project, but it hasn't really added anything to it. It's as if there was no progression with the album, if that makes sense. Does that mean it was a bad album? Hell no. I like lyrically on point. Story wise, like I said, it was if you want to put it as a conclusion, as a fitting end to the Minstrel Show, yeah, I would understand. But like I said, I would have preferred for it to call the Minstrel Show Part 2 or the sequel or whatever you want to call it, the Percy story or whatever. I don't know, but it hasn't really, like I said, it hasn't really added to it. It's kind of like capping off every story, and we were not left with what's next. Where are you going from here? That wasn't quite clear. Whereas with the Minstrel Show, from start to finish, it completed itself. Like they had a point and they pretty much dealt with it. That's why it's their best album. In my opinion, yeah. In my opinion, this album does have potential. I just wish that it just had that direction. Thank you so much for checking out this review. I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with this review? Do you disagree? I feel like a lot of you will disagree with this review because Lil Brother are a household name, and you know, when you are a household name, you kind of, if you do find something that you didn't like about it, a lot of people get onto you about that, but that's not really the case. I just see something that I didn't quite like with the album, which was the fact that they didn't really, you know, cap it off and just take us somewhere else, apart from just keep going backwards, in my opinion. But I'm not, nonetheless, do I think that this is the end of Lil Brother? I hope not. I really hope that they continue making music. I really hope that from here on, I want to know what direction they want to take it. I want to know what social commentary that they want to provide in this one, especially with how Phonte don't know finish off a project. No news is good news. I love the social commentary that he done on there, especially with to do with health, mental health. I would love to see them maybe try that angle and kind of use Ron Lee, who is probably their last character, and use him to be the voice of that. I don't know what else, but I would like to see how they utilize and bring out new characters from here on. But yeah, thank you so much for checking out this review, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.